Well, that picture looks pretty good. What do you think, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm gonna bounce it up just here. How does that look? All right. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us.
Yeah.
It is November 23.
Yeah. It's already November.
October flew by.
It really did.
Yeah.
October flew. I mean, the entire. I mean, like the leaves are down off the trees already. And it's November of 2023. We have a huge number of kind of makeup effects and film and hunters part of our group. And so all of us are catching our breath, right? And kind of looking in towards the end of the year. And we appreciate you guys joining us today.
Sure.
2 weeks ago, we interviewed Andrea, the warden's widow from down there at the Blood Prison down at the Mansfield Reformatory, Ohio State Reformatory, and she has a huge following. So if you're not following the Warden's Widow, look her up on TikTok. I think 3 of her videos have 60 million views. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw some of that makeup. It's intense.
It's intense.
Super intense. That's really crazy.
And we might go there just a bit too, because you have some bloodline, that was involved in some hunting as well.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys joining. We appreciate Andrea, you being our last guest, and our guest today is Daryl Knezevich.
Yeah.
And he has a rich story that I'm looking forward to hearing. And but before we go there, as folks are signing on. Before we press the live button, you were saying that Mackenzie was saying that your father had some history out in Lake County, right? Paynesville.
Yeah, the Nightmare in Paynesville. I can't remember exactly what year it stopped, but it was this. Do you remember it at all?
Oh yeah.
It was a big thing.
I'd spent a few nights out there, helping that team out.
Yeah, it was a big thing. But yeah, he had this whole production called Dr. Dumais, and it was intense because he was oh man, I'm drawing a blank now that the camera's on.
Yeah, so he was back there. He helped create that production.
Mm-hmm.
I would venture to say that your father possessed a lot of artistic, creative skills. Would that be an accurate statement?
Oh yeah, because back in the day he did airbrushing. That was his main thing back when airbrushing T-shirts was like huge, like in the mid 90s. He did that. He moonlit that a whole bunch, and like he would do. From there, he would go to the carnivals and festivals and stuff, and he would airbrush T-shirts right on the spot. And from there, he got a lot of business doing like the signs, repainting the signs that the carnival would need to promote. Like arrows and this way, and that's just little stuff like that. But like over time, over the years, they eventually gave him this whole barn at Nightmare in Paynesville, where he put on this production where like he was this mad scientist, and all of our family was like the little minions working in the chemistry laboratory and stuff like that. So yeah, we all had makeup on. He had the most makeup on. His beard was like down to here. It was ridiculous. And we had like dead bodies rigged up from the rafters and stuff, and they would drop at the end. And in the hall, the Mountain King was playing in the background and stuff, and it was a lot of fun.
I know there's a number of people here, Jason, Jeff, Katie. There's a ton of folks that were involved out in that show, so I would imagine there's a number of folks that'll go, yeah, I remember. So what was your father's first name?
Jeff.
Jeff Knezevich.
Jeff Knezevich, yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the 7 Degrees of Bacon. I mean, we were all kind of connected here at some point.
Didn't he also do the pierogi?
Yes, he did. Thank you for
What is a pierogi?
Hold on.
Okay.
So, did you ever know, let me see. Sophie's Choice pierogies?
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
You know the little cartoon pierogi?
Yes.
My dad actually drew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's his artwork. And he got paid like $500 for it.
And now that pierogi's everywhere.
It's a national brand now, yeah. But like
it.
when I was little, I remember actually meeting Sophie herself when she was building the whole brand in the mid '90s. But yeah, he drew that little cartoon.
That little cartoon.
He drew a little man pierogi and a little woman pierogi.
Yeah.
That was that. And
wow.
We had pierogies for dinner for like a month.
I'm gonna go back to that little pierogi and stuff here. But what I want to do is encourage everybody. If you are joining us here live, or if you're watching the recorded session, in the very bottom, I think most of the time, it's on the left-hand side of your screen. There's a share button, and if you press that share button, we know it. And when you press that share button, if you've never done it before, when you press that share button, Facebook will prompt you as to, do you want to share it to your friends list? Do you want to share it to a group? Do you want to share it to specific individuals? You might say, I've got a friend who would really benefit from this interview. And so it allows you to share to a defined group. But when you share it, we know it. And next week, when we do our interview, we're going to draw a name, and if your name is drawn, you get the opportunity to win this original piece of artwork by Daryl. And how does it look? Can you see it there?
Yeah, you can see it pretty good.
Not too much shine on it? All right. Tell us about this painting.
So that is most of the industrial things that are the landscapes that I paint now are all exclusively industrial. This is because I work at the steel mill. This is the parking lot at Crane Repair and at Dawn. And I took this picture because it was one of those mornings where like the clouds were just like that ultra pink, that ultra like crisp, like fall morning, and I was like really struck by it. Yeah. I was struck by the power lines and just kind of crossing it. It's like that's actually a theme that you find in a lot of paintings of mine, where the mankind is kind of like veiling the natural world, and I really like that. Yeah. So you see him in the background there too. Yeah. But I didn't really like. I
love this work.
I didn't really like. Finish that all the way. I wanted to make that a bigger painting, but I kind of left that as that, and that's what I brought to give away.
That's for giving away.
Yeah.
So if you share, we'll know it, and we'll draw a name next week, and we'll get this original piece of artwork to you. All right. I said I was going to go back, right? So your dad was a great creative. He also, drew the pierogi, which is not a national brand.
Yeah.
What is it like, and what is it like to have a trail blazed by a creative parent or parents? I mean, maybe your mother was creative as well.
My mom was creative. Mm-hmm. She passed last year.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But she was very creative. She loved crafts. She loved like anything in that old magazine, Good Housekeeping, and like friends and stuff. All those little she did a lot of the cottages that you make with little stones and stuff, with the hot glue and the wax. She would do all that stuff, but yeah, that kind of waned off over the years. But my dad is still very creative. His Halloween decorations are legit.
Intense.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It really is. Like it's a whole thing. But yeah, growing up in kind of under his wing, really kind of set me going on the path that I'm at now. I was always painting. I was always drawing, especially what he would draw. So I was like always like quote, like up his butt nonstop. I just wanted to do everything my dad did. But like, he would give me like the paper, he'd give me pencils, he'd color pencils, be like, all right, we'll draw this. He'd put a magazine in front of me, draw this face, draw this, draw a person shooting a bow and arrow, And that's what he did to keep me out of his hair. So I would just, I'd draw a line, be like this, draw like this, it wouldn't work. But anyway, I grew up thinking to myself, like, well, that's what kids do, right? That's what a child does, is to draw and paint and do art things like that. And I kind of pigeonholed myself into, I need to make money. So I never really pursued it. And it's something that I could do throughout my entire life, and never really pursued it until recently. So, but yeah.
During those early years, did you find yourself, obviously, right? You probably had, even if it was by osmosis, right? I mean, you were around, creative parents, creative father who was encouraging you to do it. Were you finding that you were making these like steps towards what you're at now, or like just describe the process, from maybe grade school through middle school or high school?
I was all through grade school and middle school, I was doing just that. It was just kind of drawing like little doodles here, little doodles there. Anytime he would have like the Sophie's Choice pierogi, like I would draw that. I would trace it. I would draw it and trace it. And then around high school, I really just kind of stopped art altogether because it was just not cool, I probably, there was some girl I liked and was just like, oh, art's, for stupid. It's art stupid. I was like, oh, art's stupid. That's it. I won't do that anymore. And it just ruined everything. I can't remember exactly where it went so wrong, but yeah.
But so there was a point, a period that you kind of pushed the creativity to the back burner. Right. Which I would imagine, as you said, which is something that I think that, certainly I share, and I think a lot of folks share as well. And that is, can I really make a living? If I want a family, can I do so, through art?
Right.
And, but you took a dry spell. So, well, like, what did that look like? Was that years, or was it a decade?
That was definitely years. That was a long time. I could always they kind of translated into music. So all through junior high, I was a musician. I learned play guitar and read music. I did bass, and I was in a couple bands, as you, because that's the cool art.
That's the cool art.
Yeah, that's the cool art. That's the thing that is cool. That's cool if you're a musician, but it never really went away. Picking it back up was like 2017, I think, was when I really like, you know what? I really love doing all that. I really love painting and seeing something come in a two-dimensional, from 2 dimensions into 3 dimensions, and so on and so forth, and representing what I see on a flat surface and so on. And I started to, and that's when I had my first boy, Jackson. I wanted to show them that it's okay to do the things that you love, and it's okay to follow the things that you love, and you don't have to stifle those things, in the pursuit of money. So that's when it kind of came back around, and so on and so forth.
The birth of your first son?
Yeah.
How many sons do you have?
Two. Jackson and Wyatt. Jackson's 7 and Wyatt's 5.
So now you have youngsters, right? Mm-hmm. And so you remember when your dad was like, "Oh, here, draw this."
Yeah.
Are you finding yourself fathering them in similar creative directions, or like, what is that?
No, they really could not. I mean, like actually, I shouldn't say that. Like nowadays, they really don't.
Sit still long enough?
They don't sit still long enough to really do anything artistically. They will if there's paint involved and there's a big enough mess to be had, but it's mostly like mostly what grabs their attention is, you know, the iPad and stuff. So that's what they do to fill the time, and I don't really have to get them out of my face as much as my dad did. So, but I still have every time I was painting, I would have them paint, and they had a little easel and stuff, and I still have every single one of the paints that they did. It's just a mess, you know. It's just a literal, like, you know, all the colors mixed together, and eventually it was just their hands doing this over the board and stuff. But I still have every single one of them. They just I can't bring myself to throw it away. So
yeah. There's something to parenting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I save so much of our kids' work. I mean, there's a couple pieces even here that I put out of the garbage because kids threw it out. I'm like, what are you doing? Right? I had to retrieve it from the garbage because you know to see your kids kind of grow as little artists or creatives. It's cool.
It's so cool. Like, especially when like they put, like, my son did this. I got out all the paints, and he did this painting of him at the piano, and like his little face and all the attention to detail that he did was just so fucking precious. Oh, excuse my language, but like, it was so precious to still have it. It's like one of my favorite paintings ever. It's so great, just like seeing what they want to recreate.
Yeah.
You know, the things that they choose to put down.
I didn't spend a lot of time. We've been friends on Facebook for a bit, and I think it's been a handful of weeks. Have a couple months here. I was like, we should probably do an interview, and it's finally here. But I recall, just flipping through stuff. Whenever I'm connected to an artist, right? If I get in, I usually will do the photos because I'm visual, and that's the art, or sometimes the videos too. And I went from, it felt like a lot of photos, and then all of a sudden, like almost like a renaissance. Like there was artwork. I mean, it was like people, and then artwork, and like and then a lot of artwork. Did that coincide with the birth of?
Oh yeah, that was definitely that. It was like, whatever social media, friends, happenings, and then it was like Jackson was born, and then it was like, what's important to me? What do I want to pass on as the things that have been passed on to me? Is like, what's important to me? And then that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to show everyone this, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it, or have to keep it secret, and I'm just gonna show everyone. So yeah.
And that
it's a very clear benchmark, very clear watermark.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I struggled with. Not so much. Not so much. Probably more so of, does anybody want to see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that was my question, was why post it, because who's really interested in seeing it? Right. and then I think the conclusion that I came to is perhaps nobody, but my kids, when they look back at it 20 years from now, or perhaps my grandkids, or great grandkids who I may never meet, might say, that was my dad or my grandfather.
Yeah.
And then perhaps, continue that that legacy that that your dad started, that you're carrying on, that you're moving off to the kids, and perhaps may have been there. I would venture to say, generations prior to your father too. There was probably some of that creative stuff that just wasn't recorded, or
I believe that my great grandfather was a painter. I haven't ever seen anything from him, but like I hear stories and stuff. But that's about it from my great grandfather. But yeah, absolutely. Like,
first son is born, and then all of a sudden you pick up the airbrush or pick up the paintbrush again.
Yeah,
and you start to go. Start to create.
Yeah, just what do I want to leave behind? Honestly, like that was the biggest start to the whole, like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start painting because I really loved it, and I don't want it to go. I want to show my kids like what I could possibly do. What can they do? I'll show you. Like, it's okay to do anything. Just do it. Don't hold back.
So, grade school, high school hits. You kind of put everything to the side.
Mm-hmm.
You go through your 20s ish, right? Then you know the kids are here, and then all of a sudden you have this kind of explosion of creativity, or perhaps just you know the new inspiration behind doing it. Painting. What else? Music. Continue to do the music.
Yeah, I mean, I've always music was I couldn't really create music anymore. It just because there's only so many combinations of chords that you can play, and that sound good to people. so that you know, like you write a few songs, and that's about it, honestly. But yeah, I started to pick up charcoal, started to pick up acrylics, started to pick up oils, and I started tattooing and trying to get like an actual career going in art, and started to try to get like money coming in because I heard like you can make some money, but like I didn't pan out all the way, but yeah, there's a lot of different formats, a lot of different what do you call them?
Mediums,
disciplines
that you were exploring.
Yeah.
All right. So if you haven't been with us the entire interview, there's a share button at the very bottom left-hand side of your screen. If you share it, we know it. And next week we're going to draw a name. And if your name is drawn, you'll get. Is that 17? 17 or 19? 19. You'll get this original painting by Daryl. I'm kind of like I don't know if I'm. What is this medium?
That's oil.
It's oil. I mean, I see a little bit of shine here, and it has that oil feel. Mm-hmm. And
none of my paintings are kind of alike in that regard. A lot of people like have this finish that they accomplish, but throughout painting, I usually had a little nook that I painted at work on my lunch breaks, and a lot of the ingredients to paint this I would use from work. So like the thinner that I used was the parts cleaner, and that cleaned all the gears off and stuff. I took a bottle of that. I used that instead of like turpentine or mineral spirits. There's like this dirt on it and stuff on the back. You can see like little smudge marks from my dirty hands and stuff. But yeah, the sheen on it. None of my paintings are alike in that regard. They're all different.
All different.
I don't know how people achieve that kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? That like
consistency.
That consistency.
Yeah. I can't do it. Every single one of them is different.
I saw you brought a couple other paintings.
Yeah.
With you. Do you have those?
Sure.
Are we gonna show a few of those? Yeah. So from the time that you stopped to the time that you started again is like how many years?
I probably stopped art altogether in 98. Started again in 2017.
So almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. You put to the side and then you picked it back up and
yeah. So this is the steel mill, kind of like one of those cold, overcast days. You see that yellow haze at the top. That's the oil that I used coming through because it's not artist grade, but this is the stuff I use. That's the blast furnaces in Cleveland. It's a picture I took down there.
My side of the family, my dad's side of the family were steel workers. They quit high school as soon as they were old enough to drive, and from Pittsburgh, my dad came over here to U.S. Steel, and that's how we ended up in Cleveland. But I grew up, driving down 77 and, either picking my dad up from, the family would pick up, my mom would pick up my dad from work. And this harkens back to my childhood and kind of the gritty 70s steel working city, kind of like Rush, Working Man. That's what I feel when I see this, and you successfully executed it.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of people exactly what they say. You know, like it looks so gritty, cold, dirty. You know, I got dirty snow in there, and that's mainly what my discipline is now. I have like some more landscapes and stuff like that, some more pretty stuff. But like,
what do you think?
Are you asking her?
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah.
So personally, once he started, so before we got together, I was definitely looking on his social medias, saw the transition, and loved seeing that because I knew him since I was like 18. He was 25 back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know him for his art. I knew him for his music. He played guitar really well and sang and, was creative in that way. I was like, whoa, okay. And I got to see him start to develop his art as he's going along. And he did a lot of portraits and landscapes. And when he started showing me his pieces and I'm starting to see more of this like industrial feel, I was like, that feels like you. Like, I'm looking at all of these landscapes, and they're beautiful. I'm not saying that they're not beautiful, but, like, it didn't feel like there was any of you in it. And so he started transitioning over to this, and there are other ones. He actually just was in an art show, so it's at the gallery currently. He's working on another really big piece. And, like, that, I see that, and I'm like, that is 100% you. And it's cool hearing the stories about him, like, actually painting there. And seeing, like, the dirty backs of the canvases, or sometimes, like, there's holes in it.
Yeah.
There'll be little holes punched through, because he comes home just covered in all of this, like, soot and grit and, what is it, lime?
Lime dust.
Yeah, lime dust.
My dad was not even allowed in the house until he stepped in the shower in the basement. He walked through, right? He'd step in and he would just, because you brought you brought dust and grit home with you, and I completely get the whole, some of that is embedded in your work, not just mentally, but
this one's definitely beat up. But that's a typical painting of mine, where it's just like
it keeps getting like it. All this work is really good.
Oh, thanks.
Really, really strong work here as well. And if you've driven down by the mills, you probably can recognize this on the photograph.
Easily.
This is right there, down there by.
It's I really like hearing people like say like, oh yeah, that's Cleveland for sure. That gritty, that rust, that that grime, that overcast. The clouds, just the angry skies, and I really like hearing that because like I feel like that's kind of underrepresented,
Yeah.
And it's something that I really learned to appreciate through working at the steel mill.
What did you used to call it?
What's that?
We were talking about it before. You used to call it like the cathedral or something.
Oh yeah. When I first started working there, I would just kind of walk around and I would get inspired by just how much work was there. This is gonna get a little philosophical.
Oh yeah, please, seriously. No,
so
it should.
So like I constantly wonder to myself, like, the people that built like pyramids and like the people that built like things that still last today, thousands of years later, I wonder if the people that were going home to their families every night knew what they were building, if they really understood the impact it was, or was it just a job for them? Was it just a way to feed their family? Was it just like, hey, I need some money, I'm going to go work on these giant triangles somebody wants, or like, so I wonder about that, and I wonder if like I'm living in this moment where thousands of years from now people are going to come through old Cleveland, Ohio, and be like, oh, that's where they used to actually make steel with their hands. Now we just do it with buttons, but like these guys used to go in there and they used to face to face with molten steel, and they would have to breathe in dust all day long, and like they would be deaf by the time that they were 60 because they had to work next to it. It was just an intense amount labor and ardor and like teamwork. So that's really inspiring for me, and that's where I try to get my inspiration now for like the industrial kind of landscapes that I do, and like kind of tying it back into how that intertwines with nature and stuff. Like I like this one. This is actually my favorite painting, I think, because these guys, I actually know these guys, and in the back you can definitely see the
I can see the
greasy, grimy prints.
I mean, there's something here that's important. But yeah, this is a team, right?
Yeah, you can't really see it unless you're that far away from the painting, and I wanted to do that way because it's dark, and you had to be close to these guys to understand the work that they're doing. I wanted the viewer to kind of be close with them, right? To kind of feel a little cramped. They are changing a bridge gear, and you can see right here, this guy's just trying to get some work done. This is Brian Kumakowski. This is Tony Burns, and that's Joe David. And Joe David's preoccupied with just telling a story about Dean McKay, which he always does. He always just sits down away from the work and just starts telling stories about this guy that used to work like 50 years ago, Dean McKay.
I'll tell you what, if they're on Facebook, we got to tag these guys so they can hear the stories.
Yeah, they're on Facebook.
Are they on Facebook?
They know about that painting too. Joe is my muse. Because anywhere that guy is,
which one is Joe? Is this one Joe over here?
That's Joe.
That's Joe?
That's Joe Kymack, Joe David.
Tell him a story.
Yep, just telling a story about Dean McKay. And Dean McKay, any story about Dean McKay is hilarious. You will laugh your ass off about any story that guy tells.
About Dean McKay.
But yeah, he's my muse because like anywhere that guy sits down, he looks completely exhausted. It's just the way his body is. It's just amazing. He's just like, it's fantastic. But yeah, I love this painting. This is my favorite painting.
This is a great painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I was kind of flipping through your Facebook, it appeared to me, and maybe this is just, I did that quite some time ago, that you were heavy portraiture. It seemed like, kind of as you emerge, I saw quite a few portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Was that kind of your bounce back, or was kind of the steel, and now some of your friends inside that environment is kind of fusing?
I like doing portraits. Excuse me. I like doing. Oh my goodness. What is that?
Water behind you.
I like doing portraits in charcoal because I like to do. It's a really good exercise in value. I like to do paintings because I like to do portrait paintings because it's a really good exercise in like contour and color because there's so many colors that are in skin that nobody really like talks about when you try to recreate it. There's purples and greens and blues and browns and all sorts of crazy crap. But yeah, I really like to do portraits, but nobody, again, like you said before, like who's gonna want to see this? Like I drew a picture of Jim Carrey. Who cares? But yeah, I do like to draw portraits. That's one of my faves.
And now we have a combination of the gritty mill and the portraits. I'm sure that we would know, that your buddies would say, "Oh yeah, we know who's who in this painting, right?" Because you probably captured the essence.
Yeah, they saw me paint this. This was done in the steel mill. They came back and they were just like, "Okay, man, all right." Like, oh shit, where's this going? Is this like? I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna paint you. This is good. It's what's going to happen. You just get used to that." And they were like, "Just don't paint me as like a mermaid." Well, now I want to. So
I love hearing his stories when he comes back and talking about that kind of stuff because it's so cute. that he does all this. He not only put himself out there as to say, like, I don't care if anyone wants to see it. I'm going to put it out there for anyone to see and for my kids to see. But he also does that and work in an environment where, it's blue collar,
yeah. And they see, a guy painting with oils in a little nook at his lunch break, and they're like, "The fuck is this?" Like, oh man, it's like a lion getting ready for a kill. But I kind of beat him back. I just do not care anymore. If somebody has some kind of judgment they want to pass on me painting with oils, I don't. It's one in one ear, one out the other.
And although there might be some testosterone, beating the chest of those dudes, they're like, paint me some.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, maybe it's artsy, yeah. But can you paint me or can?
No, it's funny because like they'll mess with me about it, and then the very next week you'd be like, hey, my wife wants like a dog, like she wants like all of her dogs. It's like, can you paint that? Is that cool? We can do that.
We'll keep it
I'm like, yeah, we can do that. So yeah, I've actually done a whole bunch of commissions from that. I've done like somebody took this picture. One of my bosses took this picture of him fishing. And he wanted the sunrise and his fishing rod that was kind of trolling the water. And I did that for him. He was super happy about it. Did a wedding photo. Did the dogs portraits. Yeah, so like they'll be first in line if they want something painted, but they'll also call me a fruity artist.
I'll tell you what, I mean, there's a lot of folks that I think can relate to that, right? Which is, listen, I got to make a living, and perhaps the living is via art, and perhaps it's working in a steel mill and painting on your lunch break in the evenings, so you can leave kind of that legacy for your boys, and for the next generations. This is a really good painting. This is a really good painting. I love the grittiness of it, again, because I have that gritty steel work in my certainly in my family, and probably it's kind of embedded into my subconscious too.
Yeah.
That this is great because I don't imagine that this close work. I'm talking about these, your crew or the crew that you work with. I don't imagine this has changed a lot. Meaning that like probably my dad back in the 60s and 70s,
easily.
They felt that they were working hard.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that kind of like that viewpoint, is because like people a generation ago could look at this and be like, oh yeah, they're changing a bridge gear, they're changing some kind of gear work right there, and they're hooking it up, they're rigging it up, and
could be your grandfather, could be your father,
right?
It could be the next generation, right? Because at some point, like you said, they're gonna press a button and this will happen. But for the time being, like the infrastructure of our world depends upon people
doing
builders
exactly this,
doing this.
And that's exactly what I wanted to represent in my artwork, is like going back to the analogy about like Egypt and the pyramids and stuff like that. It's like I wonder if anybody took care to record, what it felt like to move the giant blocks of stone, what it felt like when one of them broke, and then you got to start all over again, and how miserable it was, but how much joy it brought and what kind of friends you made along the way, Those are the kinds of things that I want to record, and this painting right here kind of captures it.
I can certainly see why it's one of your favorites, because this thing is magical. I mean, you certainly caught it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. There's some more paintings back here, right?
Yeah, there's a couple more. There's not too many more, but these ones are all landscapes. But these are ones that I liked. These are kind of my favorites because I like this one because this one is pretty much just like a reflection above and below.
Yeah.
And I always liked these kinds of paintings, these kinds of pictures, because you can never really see the horizon, and you don't know where one stops and the other begins. You can flip it upside down; it kind of looks the same, you know.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's also why I had to get away from things like this, because it's like, well, you take a picture. But it's still nice to paint them because you kind of fall in love with the thing that you're trying to represent. And
you picked up the paintbrush again in which year was that? 17. 17,
yeah.
Right? And so your son was born right in 17.
16.
16.
Yeah,
so it was just
yeah.
You know, maybe crawling around. All of a sudden, you start to pick up the painting.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of these? Were these early? Were these your?
This was later, but like still, this was even earlier. This was 18.
Like 18.
These both were 18, but this was in 20.
This was in 20. So you were exploring color
yeah,
and some of that, and that was not too long after doing this. I mean, you were moving gritty steel mill to.
Yeah, I still wanted to paint stuff like this because it's pretty, but everybody has a painting like this. I believe, but
yeah,
I still love it in the fact that like it's where I want to go for vacation. You know.
Yeah, for the water.
Yeah.
Are you a water guy?
I'm a mountain guy.
You're a mountain guy.
Okay.
I see mountains here too.
Yeah. But yeah, these are all kind of pictures that have been posted on people's social media, and I thought that I really like to explore like what they saw.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to explore like what they saw and why they took the picture. You know, so in an endeavor to discover why they took the picture, that's why I started to paint it, because I knew that there was something there. I didn't quite know what it was, so I was like, well, why don't I just try to recreate it? And that's my favorite part about painting. Like that's the bottom line. It's like falling in love with the thing that you're doing, and falling in love with the subject matter that you're representing. That's it for me. I love it. But this was a picture that was taken one of my friends that lived in Boise. So this is Boise, Idaho.
So he had taken a photo, and you had said, "I'm gonna paint that." Explore his.
It was like it was like the sagebrush and the dirt road and the storm moving in. And there was a lot of there's a little story behind it. So
what is you said that as a painter, as an artist, you fall in love with your subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
Describe that a little bit more. I agree.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly. But
it's not like a romantic kind of love, but like I have to think about how to word that. Because if I was painting a portrait, I'm not gonna be in love with the person that I'm painting, right? But it forces me to appreciate all of the little contours of the face. It forces me to appreciate all of the little things that make someone unique. The little pocket here next to the eye, or the way that their nose is, slightly to the left, or the way that their bottom lip is, curved downward, and just things like that. And that stuff, once you start to paint it and try to get it into a three-dimensional image on a two-dimensional surface, it really forces you to appreciate and slow down and look at the things that you're doing. And that's why I say it's like falling in love with it, because you have to eat it all up, and try to get as much of it with your eyes as you can so that you can recreate it on a surface.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, That's well put. And I love it that you fall in love. You have to know the subject
right
differently that we don't know as artists. And I know there's a bunch of folks watching who can relate too. A bunch of artists are just like, I don't even. There's a sitter there, a model. I don't even know their name, but after drawing their portrait for an hour or so, I know them.
Right.
I know them in a way that an artist knows their subject matter, and is that it defies kind of verbal description of it, but it's an artist, it's a visual description.
Right, and I say this to anybody who like asks me about it at the mill. People that say, "Oh, I want to learn how to do that." It's like, let me tell you something. An artist sees people in the world around them in completely different ways. It's all shapes and colors and sizes and so on and so forth. And if you're ever trying to recreate somebody's portrait, it's like you really have to like chomp on it with your eyes and your mind before you try to do it, or else it's just gonna be, well, this is what I see, and you just kind of phone it in,
Yeah.
You really try to understand why their ears look like they're down more than up, and you're gonna do a better job recreating it.
Yeah. We have a rich group of portrait artists, life drawing artists, painters, sculptors that are going to absolutely dig this interview because I appreciate you sharing, kind of some personal stories, some observations. Again, for everyone who shares this video, 1 week from today, we're going to draw a winner. And if your name is drawn, you get this. This is a really generous gift because this shows the gritty steel mill. This shows the beautiful sky.
Like I really liked how the sky was, like I said before, veiled by all the electrical lines, And it's something you really don't understand how much of the sky is covered by electrical lines until you start looking. It really is. You really don't understand how veiled it is. But that's what I loved about that little moment was like you had this gorgeous blushing of the whole day, as that morning's first light on the clouds from underneath, and you had it kind of punctuated by this giant man-made steel object with carrying electricity from here to there.
Yeah.
And that was the moment that I tried to create, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm totally okay with giving it away. I want somebody to have it. It's just kind of been in my basement collecting dust sometimes. So
it'll be on somebody's wall here
hopefully,
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We appreciate you sharing that with us. I think, Kenzie, you had said that, or probably as I'm getting to know that he's super talented.
He is super talented,
and he doesn't probably.
And he's terrible at just it's terrible at actually talking about himself or having confidence in it. But he's so talented. And here's the thing: anything he tries, he's good at.
Yeah,
it's infuriating. It really is.
Well, I've been dancing right out for the rest of my life.
On it? No, because you were getting down to girl talk in the kitchen.
Yeah, I do like to talk. I do like to listen to girl talk while I'm cooking.
While he's cooking, does he cook?
He's a phenomenal cook.
See, that's going to be interview number 2. Well, we'll catch him. We'll do some cooking and that. Do you have a show, or is there a show coming up, or a show that is? You just had the.
So this is actually. Point in case, or case in point, was like I submitted my artwork for the Chagrin Valley Arts, the Valley Arts Center. They have this juried exhibition every year. It's like the 52nd one this year. So, I submitted some of my artworks, and one of them got selected to be put on the wall and shown there. And it was actually the first time my artwork has ever been on a gallery wall ever. It was like most of my art has just been like in my sketchbooks and piled in Home Depot boxes in the basement.
Mountains. We have like some mountains upon mountains and stacks of
Painting, unfinished stuff.
At some point, you know, you're going to have that solo show, and they're going to say, come and fill our walls, and you're going to be going downstairs and pulling them out and putting a bunch of these great pieces in there, too.
I have to finish half of them. But I actually put out a TikTok. It was like, all right, I need some confidence, because I was this close to being like, you know what, if I don't drop off my artwork, nobody's gonna care. It's like the thing you were talking about earlier. It was just like nobody cares. But like I got such a really overwhelming response. Was like, no, just go and do it. Just go make the trip, drop off your artwork. And so we did. So we made a little weekend of it this past weekend. And
so is it hanging there now?
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah.
Chagrin Valley
Art Center.
The Art Center.
Well, I think it's just called the Valley Art Center.
Valley Art Center.
But it's in Chagrin Falls.
Yeah.
And the show was beautiful.
Yeah. I was actually really like honored just to be part of it. There's a lot of great paintings there. There's a lot of like really, really talented people.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your stories, sharing your artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, you got pretty personal about, you know, kind of some of those things that inspired you to start, and some of those, you know, even those childhood stories. And I know that there's a lot of folks that'll watch us that'll say, yeah, you know, I haven't picked up a paintbrush, or I haven't picked up charcoal since, you know, for 20 years.
Oh, hopefully do it. Yeah, just do it.
And if Daryl can do it, you know, and create this magical, you know, work that will long outlive me, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Then maybe there's folks out there that'll be inspired to do the same. And we appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely, yeah. This was a lot of fun.
Guys, go ahead and share it, and we'll be choosing a lucky winner of Daryl's Fine Art next week, and catch you guys then. Appreciate you joining us here on Tuesday at 7.
All right.